The notification lit up my phone screen as I sat in my home office, reviewing quarterly reports. My wife's name appeared with a simple message, just having coffee with a friend after work. Be home around 7. I stared at the words, feeling that familiar knot form in my stomach. Over the past 3 months, these casual coffee meetups had become frequent, too frequent. And I'd noticed other changes. The phone turned face down on tables, new perfume, that distant look in her eyes when she thought I wasn't watching. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could have written the usual "okay, see you then" response. Instead, I typed, "Ask him if his wife liked the screenshots I sent her." I hit send and leaned back in my chair, my heart pounding. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, "What are you talking about?" "You know exactly what I'm talking about," I replied. "Enjoy your coffee." The truth was, I'd known for weeks. His name was Tyler, a co-worker from her marketing firm. She'd mentioned him casually at first. "Tyler suggested this campaign idea," or "Tyler and I are working on the Henderson account." But the mentions became more frequent, her voice taking on a different tone when she said his name. 2 weeks ago, I'd done something I never thought I would. I checked her laptop while she was in the shower. The messages were there, minimized in a browser tab she'd forgotten to close. Nothing explicitly sexual, but the undertones were unmistakable. Inside jokes, late-night conversations, compliments that crossed professional boundaries. "You look amazing today," and "I can't stop thinking about our lunch yesterday." I'd taken screenshots of everything. Then I did my research. Social media made it easy. Tyler's wife, Jennifer, had a public Instagram account. She seemed nice, a kindergarten teacher who posted pictures of her classroom decorations and their golden retriever. They'd been married 6 years, no kids yet. I created a burner email account and sent Jennifer the screenshots 3 days ago with a simple message, "I think you should know what your husband has been up to." These are messages between him and my wife.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know if she'd received them, read them, or what she'd done with the information. Until now, I'd heard nothing back. But I'd planted the seed, and now I was watching to see what would grow. My phone rang. My wife's photo filled the screen, a picture from our honeymoon in Greece, her smile genuine and bright. That was 4 years ago. We were different people then. I declined the call. She tried twice more. I let both go to voicemail. Then came the texts. "This isn't funny. Call me right now." "What screenshots? What are you talking about?" I imagined her sitting in her car, probably in the parking lot of that trendy coffee shop downtown she'd been frequenting. Maybe Tyler was already inside, waiting at a corner table, wondering why she was taking so long. Maybe he was texting her too, asking if everything was okay. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was an unknown number. I answered. "Is this really necessary?" A man's voice, tense and angry. "Tyler, put my wife on the phone," I said calmly. "Listen, man, there's nothing going on. We're just friends. You're being paranoid, Anne." I said, "Put my wife on the phone." A pause, then rustling sounds. My wife's voice came through, shaking. "What have you done?" "I'm giving you a choice," I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. "You can go into that coffee shop and have your innocent meeting with your friend. Or you can come home right now, and we can talk about what happens next. But understand this, if you walk through that door to meet him, Jennifer will be receiving a very detailed message about where and when to find you both." Silence stretched between us. I could hear her breathing, rapid and shallow. "You wouldn't," she whispered. "Try me," I said, and ended the call. I sat in the growing darkness of my office, watching the minutes tick by on my computer screen, wondering if she would call my bluff. She didn't know that I'd already sent Jennifer the address and time. 20 minutes after my last message, my phone remained silent. I pictured my wife in her car, staring at her phone, weighing her options. Part of me hoped she'd turn the car around and come home. Part of me wanted her to go inside that coffee shop, to choose him, because then at least I'd know for certain where her heart truly lay. I opened my laptop and pulled up the file I'd been compiling for the past 2 weeks. Bank statements showing cash withdrawals on days she claimed to be working late. Credit card receipts from restaurants across town, places we'd never been together. Phone records highlighting the frequency of calls to one particular number. I'd even driven by the coffee shop twice, confirming what I suspected. It wasn't the chain location near her office she'd mentioned, but an upscale place in a different neighborhood entirely. My lawyer had reviewed everything yesterday. "You have enough for a clean separation," she'd said, her expression sympathetic but professional. "The financial records, the messages, the pattern of deception. If you want to proceed, we can file within the week." I'd nodded, signed the retainer agreement, and left her office feeling both empty and resolved. The divorce papers were already drafted, sitting in my desk drawer. I'd planned to wait, to gather more evidence, to be absolutely certain. But then this morning, I'd overheard her on the phone while she thought I was in the garage. Her voice had that soft, intimate quality she used to reserve only for me. I know, she'd been saying. "Just a few more weeks. I promise. Once the Henderson account closes, we can figure everything out." That's when I knew today was the day. No more waiting. No more wondering. I picked up my phone and opened the message thread with Jennifer. Our previous exchange had been brief, my initial email with the screenshots, followed by her response 2 days later, "Thank you for telling me." I confronted him. He denied everything, said you were a jealous husband making things up. But I know the truth now. I know what to look for. I typed a new message, "They're meeting at Riverside Coffee House on Elm Street. She should arrive any minute. Thought you'd want to know." The reply came faster than I expected. "I'm 10 minutes away. Thank you for this." I felt a pang of guilt, not for my wife, but for Jennifer. She was an innocent in all this, a casualty of someone else's choices. But she deserved to know the truth, just as I deserved to know it. My phone buzzed. "My wife, I'm going home. This is ridiculous. I'm not playing your games." I didn't respond. Either she was bluffing, or she was actually turning around. Either way, the pieces were already in motion. I stood up, stretched, and walked to our bedroom. Our bedroom, though it hadn't felt like ours in months. I opened her closet and began removing clothes from hangers, folding them mechanically and placing them in the suitcases I'd pulled from storage that morning. Designer dresses, work blazers, the expensive shoes she'd bought last month. Everything went into the bags. From the nightstand, I removed the envelope containing the divorce papers. I'd read them so many times I'd memorized key phrases: irreconcilable differences, equitable distribution of marital assets, no-fault dissolution. I placed the envelope on her pillow, propped against the headboard where she couldn't miss it. The wedding photo on the dresser caught my eye, the two of us laughing, cake frosting on my nose, her eyes crinkled with genuine joy. I'd loved her so completely then. Maybe I still did, underneath all the anger and betrayal. But love alone couldn't sustain a marriage built on lies. My phone rang. "Jennifer. I'm here," she said without preamble. "I see his car. Is she inside?" I checked my wife's location on the family tracking app we'd both installed 2 years ago for safety purposes. The blue dot sat stationary at the coffee shop's address. "She should be," I confirmed. "Thank you for this," Jennifer said again, her voice harder now. "Whatever happens next, thank you for not letting me stay in the dark." "We both deserve better," I said quietly. "Yes," she agreed. "We do." The call ended. I sat on the edge of the bed, surrounded by half-packed suitcases, and waited. My phone showed 6:47 p.m. According to my wife's original text, she'd planned to be home by 7. That deadline was about to take on a very different meaning. Jennifer pushed through the door of Riverside Coffee House, her hands trembling despite the steel in her spine. She spotted Tyler immediately. He had that guilty look men get when they're somewhere they shouldn't be, checking his phone every 30 seconds, eyes darting to the entrance. And there, sitting across from him at a small corner table, was the woman from the photos. Tyler's just a co-worker. She was prettier than Jennifer had imagined, with carefully styled hair and professional makeup, laughing at something Tyler had just said. Jennifer's kindergarten teaching instincts kicked in, the same calm, controlled demeanor she used when breaking up playground fights. She walked directly to their table, her footsteps steady despite the chaos in her chest. "Tyler," she said simply. Her husband's face drained of color. He stood so quickly his chair scraped loudly against the floor. "Yen. What are you? How did you?" "Sit down," Jennifer said quietly. She turned to the other woman, who was staring at her with dawning horror. "You must be the wife of the man who sent me those very interesting screenshots." The woman, she was trying to remember if the messages had mentioned her name, stood up slowly. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. Tyler and I are just—" "Don't," Jennifer interrupted, her voice sharp enough to cut. "Don't insult my intelligence by finishing that sentence." Around them, other customers were starting to notice. The barista behind the counter had paused mid-pour, watching the scene unfold. Tyler reached for Jennifer's arm. "Can we please talk about this at home? You're making a scene." Jennifer stepped back, avoiding his touch. "A scene? You're worried about a scene?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I've spent 3 days looking at messages between you and her. Can't wait to see you. You make every day better. What would I do without you?" Those were your words, Tyler. Your words to her. The other woman's phone began buzzing insistently. She grabbed it, glanced at the screen, and her face went even paler. "I have to go," she mumbled, gathering her purse. "Does he know you're here?" Jennifer asked. "Your husband?" The woman froze. "Of course he does," Jennifer continued. "He's the one who told me where to find you. He's the one who's been documenting everything. And from the look on your face, I'm guessing he's just sent you a message explaining exactly what's waiting for you at home." The woman's fingers flew across her phone screen. Jennifer watched emotions cascade across her face. Shock, anger, fear, and finally, something that looked like resignation. "This isn't what it looks like," the woman tried again, but her voice was weak. "Then what is it?" Jennifer demanded. "Explain it to me. Explain why my husband has been texting you at midnight. Explain the inside jokes and the accidental hand-holding I saw in one of your Instagram stories that you forgot to delete. Explain why you're here, dressed like that, for coffee with a coworker." Tyler finally found his voice. "Nothing physical has happened. We've never—" "Never what?" Jennifer's voice rose despite her intention to stay calm. "Never kissed. Never slept together. Do you think that makes this okay? Emotional affairs are still affairs, Tyler. You gave her parts of yourself that belong to me. You shared intimacies and secrets and dreams with her instead of your wife." The other woman was crying now, still clutching her phone. "I need to go home. I need to fix this." "There's nothing to fix," Jennifer said, not unkindly. "Your husband knows. Just like I know. Whatever you had with your marriages before this moment, it's over. You both made sure of that." Tyler tried once more. "Jen, please. Let's go home and talk. I'll explain everything. I'll do whatever it takes." "I don't want explanations," Jennifer interrupted. She was surprised by how calm she felt now, as if she'd passed through the storm and reached some quiet place on the other side. "I want you to understand something. When I married you, I chose you. Every single day, I chose you. When other men showed interest, I chose you. When life got hard or boring or frustrating, I chose you." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But you didn't choose me. You chose yourself. You chose the excitement of someone new, the thrill of secret messages, the ego boost of being wanted by someone else. And you know what? I deserve better than that." The other woman's phone rang. She answered it with shaking hands. "I'm coming home now," Jennifer heard her say. "Please, just let me explain." A pause. "What do you mean, empty? What papers?" Her voice broke. "No. No, please don't do this." Jennifer turned back to Tyler. "I'm staying at my sister's. Don't call me. Don't text me. My lawyer will be in touch." She pulled off her wedding ring and set it on the table between them. 6 years of marriage, reduced to a small circle of gold on laminate.
Yen. Wait.
But Jennifer was already walking away, pushing back through the door into the cool evening air. Behind her, she could hear the other woman sobbing, Tyler's desperate pleading, the murmur of shocked customers. She got into her car and sat there for a moment, her hands on the steering wheel, breathing. Her phone buzzed with a text from the number that had started all of this, the other husband. "Are you okay?" he'd written. She typed back, "I will be. Thank you for caring enough to tell me the truth. How are you holding up?" "Surprisingly well," came the reply. "Sometimes knowing is better than wondering." Jennifer started her car and pulled out of the parking lot. In her rearview mirror, she could see Tyler emerging from the coffee shop, looking lost and small. The other woman was on the phone, gesturing frantically. 2 marriages imploding in real time, and all over what? Text messages. Coffee dates. The selfish need for attention and validation. Jennifer drove toward her sister's house, where a guest room and a bottle of wine waited. Tomorrow, she'd call a lawyer. Tomorrow, she'd start figuring out the logistics of separating a life. But tonight, she'd let herself feel everything. The anger, the grief, the betrayal, and underneath it all, the smallest seed of relief. Because now she knew. Now she could move forward. No more wondering. No more excuses. No more choosing someone who wouldn't choose her back. She sat in her car outside Riverside Coffee House for 10 minutes after Jennifer left, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. Tyler had followed Jennifer out, trying to stop her, leaving his just a co-worker alone at the table with the ruins of their casual coffee date scattered around her. 2 cups of lukewarm coffee and the shattered illusion that no one would ever find out. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Her husband had sent 15 messages in the past 20 minutes, each one shorter and colder than the last. "Come home now. We need to talk. Jennifer knows. I made sure of that. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Your things are packed." That last message made her stomach drop. She finally pressed the call button, her hands shaking so badly she nearly dropped the phone. He answered on the first ring. "Where are you?" "I can explain everything," she started, but her voice cracked. "It's not what you think. We're just friends. Today was the first time we've ever met outside of work, I swear." "Don't lie to me," he said, his voice terrifyingly calm. "I've read every message between you two for the past 3 months. I've seen the receipts from the restaurants you claimed were client dinners. I've tracked the mileage on your car that doesn't match your working late stories. I know about the concert you went to with him 2 weeks ago when you told me you were at a marketing conference." She felt the blood drain from her face. The concert. She'd been so careful to hide that. How had he? "The Instagram story Tyler's friend posted," he continued, as if reading her mind. "You were in the background, wearing that blue dress I bought you for our anniversary. The one you said you were saving for a special occasion with me." Tears spilled down her cheeks.
"I'm sorry."
"I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. It started as friendship and then you chose to keep going," he finished. "Every text message, every secret meeting, every lie, those were choices. You chose him over our marriage. Over me. Over the vows you made." "No, I chose us," she insisted desperately. "I never wanted to leave you. I love you." This thing with Tyler, it was exciting and new, but it wasn't real. "You're my husband. You're my real life." The silence on the other end lasted so long she thought he'd hung up. When he spoke again, his voice was different, resigned, almost sad. "Do you know what the worst part is? It's not even the affair, if you want to call it that. It's the disrespect. Every time you texted him while sitting next to me on the couch. Every time you laughed at his jokes while barely listening to mine. Every time you put effort into looking beautiful for him while wearing sweatpants around me. You made me feel invisible in my own marriage. I never meant to make you feel that way," she sobbed. "But you did. And you knew you were doing it. That's why you hid it." She pressed her forehead against the steering wheel. "Please. Let me come home. Let me fix this. I'll end things with Tyler completely. I'll quit my job if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm sure you will, he said. Right up until the next person who makes you feel special comes along. Because that's what this is really about, isn't it? Not Tyler specifically, but what he represented. The excitement. The validation. The proof that you're still attractive and interesting. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, he cut her off. Fair was me trusting you completely while you were planning coffee dates with another man. Fair was me thinking we were happy while you were complaining about me to him. Fair was me planning our 5th anniversary trip while you were wondering what it would be like to kiss him. She couldn't deny any of it. The words died in her throat. When you get home, he continued, you'll find your clothes packed. The divorce papers are on the bed. I've already moved the money from our joint account into my personal one. Don't worry, I left exactly half, right down to the cent. I've been documenting everything for 2 weeks, so if you're thinking about fighting this or trying to claim I'm being unreasonable, you should know that my lawyer is very confident. You can't just kick me out, she said, anger finally breaking through the panic. It's my house too. We both own it. You're right. Which is why you can stay there, and I'm leaving. I'm at my brother's place. I'll be back tomorrow with a moving truck for my things. My lawyer will be in contact about the property settlement. He paused. Oh, and I've already told both our families. Your parents know. My parents know. I sent them all the screenshots, so you don't need to waste energy coming up with cover stories. She felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. You told my parents. Would you have preferred I let you paint me as the villain? Let you tell them I was controlling or jealous or that we just grew apart? No. Everyone gets to know the truth. Everyone gets to see who made the choice to destroy this marriage. Please, she whispered. Please don't do this. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. Don't throw away 5 years because of a few stupid mistakes. They weren't mistakes, he said quietly. Mistakes are accidents. This was a series of deliberate decisions. And I'm making a deliberate decision now too. I'm choosing to respect myself enough to walk away from someone who doesn't respect me. Through the coffee shop window, she could see Tyler still sitting at their table, his head in his hands. A few customers were still watching, probably gossiping about the scene they'd witnessed. Does it make you feel powerful? She asked bitterly. Orchestrating all of this? Setting up Jennifer to ambush us? Planning this whole dramatic reveal? No, he said simply. It makes me feel sad. Sad that it came to this. Sad that you gave me no choice. You could have ended things with Tyler at any point. You could have come to me and been honest. But you didn't. So yes, I took control of the situation. I decided when and how the truth would come out. Because I was done being the fool who didn't know what everyone else probably suspected. She wanted to argue, to defend herself, but what could she say? He was right. About all of it. I never wanted to hurt you, she said finally, her voice small. I know, he replied. You just wanted to have your affair and your marriage too. You wanted the security of our life together and the excitement of something new. You wanted everything without consequences. But that's not how the world works. She heard him take a deep breath. I loved you, he continued. I really did. I would have done anything for you. But I won't be disrespected in my own home, in my own marriage. I won't spend my life wondering who you're texting or where you really are. I deserve better than that. And honestly, so do you. You just haven't figured that out yet. The line went quiet again. She could hear him breathing, could picture him sitting in his brother's spare room, surrounded by hastily packed bags. Goodbye, he said finally. Wait. But the call ended. She tried calling back immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. He'd blocked her number. She sat in her car as the sun set, watching the last customers filter out of the coffee shop. Tyler eventually emerged, walking to his car without looking in her direction. They didn't exchange messages or calls. What was there left to say? Finally, as darkness settled over the parking lot, She started her car and drove home, to the empty closet, the divorce papers, and the life she'd destroyed with her own hands. 3 months later, I stood in my new apartment, smaller than the house, but mine alone, and boxed up the last remnants of my old life. The divorce had been finalized 2 weeks ago. Clean, efficient, surprisingly civil once my ex-wife realized I had documentation of everything and fighting would only cost us both more money. We'd sold the house. Split everything 50-50, just as I'd promised. She'd tried, in those early weeks, to convince me to reconsider. Long emails about how she'd changed, how she'd learned her lesson, how we could rebuild. I'd read each one carefully, then save them to a folder I never opened again. Tyler and Jennifer had divorced too. I'd heard through mutual connections that Tyler moved to another state for a job opportunity, or perhaps to escape the wreckage of his reputation. The marketing firm where he and my ex-wife worked had quietly asked her to resign after the story spread through the office. Apparently, they took professional conduct seriously, especially when it involved 2 employees lying to their spouses about where they were. My phone buzzed. Jennifer's name appeared on the screen. "Coffee," her text read. "The ironic kind, where we actually just have coffee." I smiled and typed back, "Sure. The place on Main Street? 2 p.m. Perfect. See you there." Jennifer and I had stayed in touch, bound together by the strange circumstances that had brought us into each other's lives. We'd meet every few weeks, comparing notes on the divorce process, sharing small victories and frustrations. She'd gotten the house in her settlement. Tyler had gotten the dog, which she said was fine. She'd never liked that golden retriever anyway. At 2 p.m., I walked into the coffee shop, a different one, nowhere near Riverside, and found Jennifer already seated by the window. She looked different than she had that night 3 months ago. Lighter, somehow. Her hair was shorter, styled in a way that suited her better. She smiled when she saw me, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "You look good," she said as I sat down. "So do you. New haircut. New everything, really." She stirred her latte. I moved classrooms at school. Switched to teaching 2nd grade instead of kindergarten. Started going to yoga. Joined a book club. I'm basically a walking cliché of a divorced woman finding herself. But honestly, I don't care. It feels good. "It suits you," I said. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching people pass by on the street outside. "Do you ever wonder if we overreacted?" Jennifer asked suddenly. Like, what if we'd tried counseling? What if we'd given them another chance? I considered the question carefully. "Do you wish you had?" "No," she admitted. "But I wonder sometimes if I should wish I had, you know? Like maybe I gave up too easily." "You didn't give up," I said firmly. "They gave up. Every time they chose to text each other instead of being present with us. Every time they made plans to meet secretly. Every time they put their desire for excitement above their commitment to their marriages. Those were the moments when they gave up." Jennifer nodded slowly. "My therapist says something similar. She says I'm not responsible for Tyler's choices, only my own. And my choice, to have self-respect, to not settle for being someone's backup plan, that was the right choice." Smart therapist. "What about you?" she asked. "How are you doing? Really?" I thought about it. Better than I expected. Some days are hard. I'll see something that reminds me of her, or I'll reach for my phone to tell her something before I remember. But mostly, I feel relieved. Like I've been carrying this heavy weight and I finally put it down. "Do you talk to her at all?" "No." She tried a few times in the beginning, but I made it clear that beyond the logistics of the divorce, we had nothing to say to each other. I paused. I heard she's seeing someone new. Jennifer raised an eyebrow. "Already?" "Apparently. Some guy she met at a networking event." I shrugged. "Good for her, I guess. I hope she's learned something from all this." "Do you think she has?" "Honestly, no. I think she's learned to be more careful about getting caught. But actual growth, actual change? That takes real self-reflection, and she was never very good at that. Jennifer laughed, but it was tinged with sadness. Tyler's living with his parents. He's 34 years old, living in his childhood bedroom. Part of me feels bad for him. Only part. The part that remembers who he was when we first met. The guy who brought me coffee in bed on Saturday mornings and left sticky notes with terrible jokes on my dashboard. That guy, I feel bad for him. But the guy who lied to my face for months while texting another woman? He can figure out his own redemption arc. That's fair, I said. We ordered another round of coffee, decaf this time, neither of us needing the extra caffeine. The shop was filling up with the after-work crowd, people meeting friends, working on laptops, enjoying the ordinary rhythms of daily life. Can I tell you something? Jennifer asked. And promise you won't think I'm crazy. Of course. I'm grateful, she said quietly. Not for what happened, obviously. Not for the pain or the betrayal or any of it. But for knowing. For not spending another year or 5 or 10 in a marriage where I wasn't valued. For getting out before we had kids, before our lives got even more entangled. You gave me that. By sending those screenshots, by refusing to let me stay ignorant, you gave me my life back. I felt my throat tighten. You gave me mine back too. If you hadn't shown up that night, if you'd confronted Tyler privately, my wife would have found a way to spin it. To make me the paranoid one, the jealous one. But you corroborated everything. You validated that I wasn't crazy. We made a good team, Jennifer said with a small smile. In the worst possible way. The worst possible way, I agreed. My phone buzzed with a notification, a reminder about the date I had scheduled for tomorrow night. I'd been hesitant to get back into dating, but my brother had convinced me to try one of the apps. Just meet people, he'd said. No pressure. Just remember what it's like to connect with someone new. Jennifer noticed my glance at the phone. Hot date. Maybe. Probably a disaster. I don't even remember how to do this. You'll figure it out, she assured me. Just be yourself. Be honest. Don't settle for someone who treats you like an option. Same goes for you, I said. Are you dating yet? God, no. I'm still in my men are trash phase. Give me another 6 months. She grinned. But I did download an app. I'm just not ready to actually meet anyone yet. Baby steps. We finished our coffee and walked out together into the late afternoon sun. At her car, Jennifer turned to me. Thank you, she said. For everything. For telling me the truth when it would have been easier to stay silent. For being someone I could talk to through all of this. For reminding me that not all men are liars. Thank you for being someone who understood, I replied. For not blaming the messenger. For having the courage to face the truth even when it hurt. She hugged me, a real hug, not the awkward side squeeze people give acquaintances. When she pulled back, her eyes were bright. Go on your date tomorrow, she said. Be open to the possibility of something good. You deserve that. You too, I said. When you're ready. I watched her drive away, then got into my own car. The evening stretched ahead of me, empty. But mine. I could order takeout or cook something elaborate. Watch whatever I wanted on TV. Call my brother or my friends. Go to the gym. Read a book. The possibilities felt endless, liberating. My ex-wife had texted me once, about a month after the divorce was finalized. Do you ever think about what we could have had? I'd stared at that message for a long time before responding. I think about what we did have, and how you chose to throw it away. I don't waste time on could have beens anymore. She never replied. As I drove to my apartment, I thought about the man I'd been 3 months ago, angry, hurt, betrayed, but also determined. Determined not to be made a fool. Determined to take control of a situation that had spiraled beyond my grasp. Determined to choose self-respect over false comfort. Some people might say I'd been cruel, orchestrating the confrontation the way I did. But I'd given her a choice, hadn't I? I'd warned her what would happen if she went to meet him. She chose to go anyway, believing I was bluffing or that she could talk her way out of it or that somehow, she could have both her marriage and her affair. She'd been wrong. And yes, maybe there was a part of me that needed her to face consequences. That needed Tyler and her to be exposed, to have their secret dragged into the light. Maybe that made me vindictive. But it also made me human. The next day, I went on my date. Her name was Sarah, she was a graphic designer, and she made me laugh within the first 5 minutes. We talked about everything except our past relationships. When the evening ended, she smiled and said, "I'd like to do this again sometime." Me too, I said, and meant it. Life wasn't perfect. I still had moments of anger, of grief, of wondering what I could have done differently. But I also had moments of peace, of contentment, of recognizing that I'd made the right choice. I'd chosen myself, my dignity, my future, and that, I was learning, was enough. 3 months after that coffee shop confrontation, both Jennifer and I were building new lives from the rubble of our old ones. We weren't together, our relationship wasn't like that. We were simply two people who'd been betrayed, who'd chosen not to accept it, and who'd found unexpected friendship in shared experience. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply refusing to be diminished by someone else's choices. It's walking away with your head high. It's building something better from the pieces they left behind. My wife had texted, "Just having coffee with a friend." I'd replied with the truth that set us both free. And now, finally, I was learning to be grateful for that freedom, even though it came at such a painful price. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.